Thanks for being here. My name is Mile Marker, also known as Madeline. This podcast aims to discover what it means to live authentically. I work to uncover tools to help me be most present in my life. Each episode, we will discuss themes like how to listen to your body, understanding ways to be true to yourself, and learning what deep fulfillment looks like. The episodes will also relate to ideas inspired by my 2024 hike across the state of Arizona. Let's do this.
I am here with episode 10, and I'm recording with a brand new Lenovo laptop because my last laptop began to tell me that Windows was no longer supported because it was too old. So I'm really proud of my laptop for getting me this far. And then I really decided I needed to upgrade because the driver that ran this external microphone that I'm using stopped working. When you can't use a microphone, it's pretty hard to record a podcast. So here I am with my original microphone and a new laptop, and everything seems to be working great. So I'm excited for that. The audio that we're going to listen to today, we hinted at last week, but last time we talked more about preparing and not having enough food, but the essence of what I want to discuss today is from a different part of the hike. It has nothing to do with our rations. So I will start that audio clip now.
Hello, it is 5:40 p.m. It is Tuesday, the 19th of March. It is day 10. We made it up Mica Mountain. The trail doesn't even technically go to the summit of Mica Mountain, but instead we took a side trail, sort of accidentally, and Nick scrambled up Spud Rock, which was cool. So we got really good views from there. And Manning Camp was honestly sweet. There was snow all around it, so it would have been very chilly. But there was a big building that is still in use by the Forest Service. They do fire maintenance with the building, so that's cool. It was built in 1905. It gave me vibes from Kentucky Camp, to be honest. When we were up there, like on top of Mica Mountain near Manning Camp, we saw this other hiker guy, but he gave me a little bit of bad vibes. He had a guitar with him, which made me feel like he was more homeless, like choosing to be a pseudo hiker but being kind of homeless. But Nick thought he seemed harmless. So we had our little detour on Spud Rock, then we got back on track, and hiking up was a little slow, but honestly the day was glorious. It really never was too hot. Soaked my feet in one of the streams, felt great. Yeah, finished at 4:30. We got to this wide stream, shallow but wide stream. We were just chilling, deciding if we wanted to keep going because there was a really nice meadow that had campsites. So we were like, oh, maybe we want to stay here. But it was only like 3 o'clock, so we thought, maybe not. While we were waiting there, this trail running woman came by, and Nick said, oh, what's her name? Camille? Candace Burke. Candace Burt. And she was like, oh, do I know you? And Nick's like, no, but I know you because she's kind of a famous runner lady. So we chatted with her for a minute. She was going to go do a training run up Mica at 3 o'clock. But she's a beast, so she's capable of that. She told us that she is going to be putting on a race through Patagonia that's 300 miles, so that'll be exciting, a new race. And she's going to be starting, I think, an FKT attempt for the Arizona Trail on August 8th. So interestingly, because she's starting at that time, we actually might see her while we're still on the trail, because we don't plan on finishing till like the end of April. And if she does it in like 20 some odd days, we might see her, yeah, which would be sweet. So once we charge our cell phones, I will see if I can follow this lady on Instagram, so then when she does her attempt, we can keep track of where she is, so we can know if we're going to run into her, because that would be kind of cool. So we did, 16 something miles today, 17, something between 15 and 18. I'm pretty tired, but not horribly cashed. Oh, today was the first day that I hiked with my Lunas. So from, wherever that creek was till the end, which was like 2 miles-ish, I wore my Lunas, and they felt pretty good. That's about it. we saw a cow. So a few things that I'm noticing. Water is prevalent, but water is very important. Clouds are important. Knowing if the clouds are going to be full of rain is important. You just notice things about the day much more than you would if you were inside all the time. Like, we really haven't been in buildings hardly at all since we've been out here. We've been outside almost exclusively, except for breakfast and dinner in Patagonia. And being in the car for the road. Yeah, that's true. The road in Patagonia. But it's just pretty great. So tomorrow we only have 13 miles until we get to Gordon Hirabayashi. Then we'll hitch a ride in to Tucson and start a little bit of relaxation. Today we still finished at 4:30, right on schedule with my typical 4:30 completion. We're in another meadow, which is nice, near a road crossing that has a water cache, so it's a pretty perfect spot to finish, honestly. Life is good. We're still out here. Our bodies are working. Our gear is good. Yeah, no complaints. Excited to go to Sprouts and REI and the laundromat and mail my postcards. Yeah, and really just charge my cell phone. Good Lord. Okay, that's all.
What you just heard was audio taken on the 10th day of hiking the Arizona Trail. And I want to spend some time talking about the hiker guy who gave me the bad vibes. The guitar man, I guess I should call him, because he didn't strike me as a hiker. And the reason why I want to talk about him is not necessarily this encounter in particular, but the idea of trusting your instincts or noticing something that gives you a strong impulse and listening to it. Because while I was hiking, I remember seeing him in the distance. It was mid-morning, I want to say, and it was really cold, and we didn't interact with this man. We just sort of saw him from afar, but seeing him carrying a guitar felt like something that a thru hiker wouldn't be doing. What I want to emphasize is that I felt this sense of danger, honestly. And while nothing dangerous occurred, it was a pretty strong sensation of seeing this person out of the corner of my eye and thinking, I need to keep my wits about me. But even the idea that in our day-to-day life, we sometimes have a strong sense of something. And it's usually visceral, like you feel it in your body. Like, oh, your fists clench up or your palms start to sweat. Even your vision might feel sharper. In the past, when I've experienced these sorts of things or had these little intuitive blips, I would try to rationalize them and say, oh, this is why I'm feeling this way, or kind of talk myself through what was happening. But now that I'm in my journey of learning how to listen to my body, whatever you want to call my 2025 spiritual awakening process, what have you, I really want to think about those moments more and understand what I'm noticing so intently. And this feeling that I had that, oh, I'm noticing some energies from this other person, I should pick up on that, is something that I was feeling recently, actually. And so I want to bring up that story of what I was feeling in my day-to-day life now. Here in Austin, I have a pretty solid friend group, and I'm really grateful for that. And we spend time in different ways. Usually it's through fitness, doing rock climbing, or sometimes biking together and running, etc. But last week we were just having a girls' night and hanging out, and it was a casual evening. We were just at a friend's house, and I can't describe specifically how I noticed this feeling, but there was a moment when I thought, I don't feel like I can totally be myself right now. I don't feel like I can express my opinion or feel open with who I am with these people. And I think that thought arose from a feeling. Actually, I'm sure that it did, because my thoughts, I typically try to keep them neutral or positive or status quo, if you will. I try to keep my thoughts aligned with what I've already been doing. So something along the lines of, I enjoy spending time with my friends, and hanging out with these girls is good for me and fun and routine. But sitting there, I had a strong notion that if I expressed my opinion the way I wanted to, that it wouldn't be well received. And I think there's a couple of parts to this. And the first is that sometimes I feel like I don't know how to express myself in a way that is effective. And to combat that, I've been reading books about communication. And there are 3 that I'm starting with. One is Atlas of the Heart by Brené Brown, which is an encyclopedia of emotions, basically. It teaches you different definitions and when different words are appropriate for different things you might be feeling. For example, the difference between envy and jealousy, or the difference between sympathy and empathy. And I am glad I started with this book sort of as a foundation for understanding what I'm experiencing and using the correct words to describe what I'm feeling. That's step 1. There's another book called Nonviolent Communication, and it's fairly dense, but I really like it because it explains sort of through rhetoric how one can express themselves in a way that will be received the most effectively by others. Because often when people are in an emotional state, they kind of lash out, or they say things that they mean, but they're not understood the way they're trying to be understood. And at first, I feel like this is a little contrived by having to learn this new way of communicating. I feel like a novice, but I want to be able to express myself in a way that I know will be understood the way I'm seeking to be understood. Because there's nothing worse than trying to be vulnerable and being misheard. And there is a phrase that my sister introduced to me that I may have mentioned in the podcast before called intent versus impact. And by honing my nonviolent communication skills, I am confident that I will be able to communicate in a way where the impact matches the intent every time. But without these skills, there may be a disconnect. So that's something that I'm excited to keep reading, which is Nonviolent Communication. The last book that I have not started yet, but I plan on reading along this topic is called Never Split the Difference. And it was introduced to me by a salesperson that I used to work with at a former company, and he gave them to all of his sales team because he believed this was a really effective book. And one of my good friends who I was talking to a couple of weeks ago also mentioned it. So whenever I have an idea about something and 2 people tell me that it's relevant, then I'm even more compelled to bring it forward into my life. So I will embark on Never Split the Difference, the book. But the reason why I'm talking about these different communication strategies is that if I have an instinct that something makes me feel uncomfortable, step 1, of course, is to just experience the discomfort or experience whatever is happening without judgment. And that's something that I have learned to value from my meditation practice. But after that, after your experience has passed and you have noticed your intuitive feelings, your intuitive moment, sometimes I want to talk about it or I want to communicate it to other people. And after living for so long feeling compelled by my thoughts, I really feel like I'm starting from square one on learning how to communicate essentially from the heart instead of from the mind. And learning vocabulary around these intuitive moments is sort of my square one of this process, if you will. In the past, I would have been very quick to dismiss my feelings of uncertainty, probably because I would have wanted to fit in, and specifically these feelings of uncertainty around expressing myself with my friends. But now I'm honoring that the way I felt was true. Even just telling myself, oh, that evening you were spending with your friends that you didn't feel like you could be open and honest, that's real. You did feel that way. Thanks for noticing. And maybe the answer is to continue to spend time with these people, but share what you feel comfortable sharing with them. Or perhaps this is a good opportunity to find other people that you feel comfortable sharing things with. And I also want to think about these intuitive moments as a blessing, as something really to cherish, because there's something that I really didn't pick up on for a long time. And let's just use the example of childhood joy and extreme excitement. I loved those feelings. Even as a child and experiencing childlike wonder, I remember things like getting an ice cream cone or going to an amusement park or wearing an outfit that you thought was cute was thrilling and totally lit up your life. And I remember feeling that way so much as a child. And even when I first moved to Austin in my early 20s, there were lots of moments of extreme excitement or wonder or awe, and then those sensations kind of dwindled. I don't actually think the moments dwindled. I just think my ability to recognize and internalize the beauty and wonder of them became dampened. And this is my new chance to kind of shake those cobwebs off and view the world in a way that is as illuminating as it can be, and view the world in a way that's beautiful, because I really think that that's a mindset. And I'm not saying it's easy to convince yourself, okay, I'm going to wake up today and I'm going to have a great day. But you can wake up today and say, the negative things that are happening to me, I'm going to try to not let them bring me down. And different sensations that I feel around goodness and challenges, I'm going to honor them and believe them to be true. Because noticing that the hiker guy was making me uncomfortable was a really great realization. And being with my friends and noticing, I'm feeling a little off around these people today, that's a really great realization. And so I'm going to continue to try to dig deeper into those intuitive moments and use that as a way to trust my intuition, which is sort of the essence of life, if you will, is to live authentically and be true to yourself and really understand what that feels like and how to embody yourself. Thanks.
That concludes this episode of Musings with Mile Marker. Thanks for listening. The intro and outro music are from a track called Wake Robin, composed and recorded by my late grandfather, Bob Ackery. Cover art for this podcast was designed by Polly Morwood. Production and editing of this podcast were done by me, your host, Mile Marker, aka Madeline Ackery. See you next time.